Good morning and welcome back to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Thanks for listening today. Feel free to give us a call at 612-504-8400 or havenfinancialgroup.com. All kinds of tools on the site. A lot of interaction, a lot of good recipes even shared there, all kinds of good stuff. Maybe not just the stuffy retirement stuff, all kinds of fun stuff, because as much as this is serious conversations that we have on a weekly basis, at Haven Financial Group, we like to have as much fun as possible. We're coffee snobs here, Kim. You know that. We have fresh cookies with every meeting. Maybe that in itself is just appealing. Forget the conversation. Maybe that's good. But we like to have fun with really important topics. We take it seriously, but you got to have a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down a little bit.
Oh, so true. You're so right. 612-504-8400. That's how you get hold of my friends there at Haven Financial Group. We wanted to talk a little bit about wealth stability. And ultimately, that comes back to your family finances. In the segment before, we were talking about universal health insurance, life insurance rather, and how that can be a tool for saving. And you were mentioning, Larry, that if you're a high net worth individual, that might be a really great way for legacy planning. Talk to us a little bit more about that.
Well, too often bad decisions are made. Maybe the wealth is created, but it's lost really quickly. I think the statistics show that 70% of wealthy families lose their wealth by the second generation and 90% by the third. Bad decisions, lack of education, lack of preparedness. That can be even piggyback into not having an estate plan, which, of course, Provision Law, Carrie, Anna, and Keith are our estate planning partners. Do you have a will or trust or powers of attorney? Do you have an exit strategy? If you haven't, please take the time. It's well worth it. Otherwise, it's going to cost you, your estate, and your kids time, effort, and money. So again, having a long-term vision and creating the financial literacy amongst the family, having the good communication and the discussions in advance, proactive, not reactive. I understand some families, you don't have that communication. Maybe you don't have the relationship. But to the best of your ability to get prepared can go a long way avoiding crisis. Now, when you're here, and crisis when you're gone.
Absolutely.
I can't make it any more important, because we see. I bet you I've had a half dozen or 20 this year where they lost loved ones and everything's a mess. They never got around to doing anything, and by that time, oftentimes it's too late. And that's not meant to put a fear factor in anybody listening. It's reality. The mortality rate in the United States is 100%. We're all going someday. Yeah. I heard there's a few that actually didn't, but that's a talk for Sunday morning, which today is Sunday morning. So I guess we can go into that as well, not for today. So again, proactive, not reactive, having a plan. A failure to plan is a plan to fail. None of us want to, but so many families do, because they're just not prepared.
I think so many people who are listening to this may be thinking, well, this doesn't really apply to me because I don't have a lot of dollars. But planning for, your family's future and planning for what may be left behind, everybody has that.
Oh, most definitely. We're speaking to those that have very little and those that have a lot, and every single listener in between. Somehow, some way, this is going to affect you. Right. And again, a lot of times estate planning, that's only for the rich people. That could not be further from the truth. Do you want to avoid probate? It only takes $75,000 of probatable assets in the state of Minnesota to get a formal probate, which most would want to avoid. The question is, how do you avoid it? Mm-hmm. Beneficial interest, life insurance. How do you protect assets? Maybe spend down process for the nursing home. These are all not fun, comfortable conversations, but important conversations to protect whatever you have put together, small, medium, or large, whether you have no kids or 8 kids or commingled assets with a second marriage. There's all kinds of different dynamics or lack of dynamics. What do you do to prepare for the unknown when it happens? That's what it's about.
And, I think one of the things that people aren't thinking about frequently is the tax ramifications. That's something that you really need to sit down and talk with an expert about.
Well, Lance is our in-house CPA, and we do lots of tax planning, and we have lots of tax discussions as it relates to retirement income streams, et cetera. But yes, if you pass away, different states have different rules when it comes to an inheritance tax or an estate tax at the federal level, at the state level. What do you do to avoid or minimize that? Is a revocable trust the right thing to do? Irrevocable trust. Getting educated about these things so you don't get something you don't need, but you better make sure that you have what you need when it comes to that. So yes, taxes are relevant, and a lot of times people pay on taxes unnecessarily just because there was a lack of preparation or maybe a lack of a financial tool that could have been used. So we like to explore all the options, and that really comes with ongoing conversations. We see folks getting inheritance. Just this last week, I probably had 2 different couples that came in who just are in the process of receiving an inheritance. How do you bring that into your asset mix? Okay, how do you want it invested? Is there going to be a tax ramifications that you definitely want to be prepared for? Avoiding those negative surprises. That's what we're trying to avoid.
Sure. Another thing about this, Larry, that seems pretty important when it comes to protecting generational wealth and is the idea that you need to establish a family governance. And I think you sort of mentioned this before, but you would rather establish that while you're here than leave it to those who are left behind to make those decisions.
Yeah, let's face it. If you have more than one child or don't have any, there's going to be different dynamics, different ones you want in control of things if something happens. It's why a durable power of attorney for financial may be different than a durable power of attorney for health care or your living will, who's in charge, all those type of things. Who do you want to be in charge? And a lot of times people say, well, I don't have anything in place legally because I don't know. Well, what about a friend, a neighbor, a parent, a pastor, your kids, whoever? Keep in mind, if you have an appointed lawful attorney in fact, in essence, what you've done is you've put the state where you live in control of your affairs if you can't speak for yourself, if there's an accident or whatever that might happen. So if you're 18, everybody should have those powers of attorney. Otherwise, what happens is the state takes over your finances in the form of conservatorship or in the form of a guardianship. Now they're your parent as well. So I don't think any of us want that to happen, but it happens all the time. Avoid the mistakes that potentially could happen. You say nothing's ever going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen until what? Until something happens.
Until it happens, right.
And by that time, it may be too late.
Right. And then there are those who would, that generational wealth, maybe they feel it's more important for it to be passed on in a charitable way versus maybe through their heirs. And
yeah, we love to see, and we do see a lot of our clients that are very charitable. And in our conversations, and initially we ask, are you charitable? Now, you don't give charitably for tax reasons, but we're always anxious to hear about passions that people have with different charities. We're at Haven Financial Group. We're passionate about Can Do Canines. In our office, our local churches, and a variety of different things, which I love to hear about. And for many of our clients, that is important. So how do you get it to your favorite charity in the most tax efficient way possible, even when you're living? We do qualified charitable distributions for clients' required minimum distributions. And then when you're gone, who do you want it to go to? A revocable trust is oftentimes the best way to do that. So all we're looking at is what fits your short-term, your midterm, your long-term goals, and how do we get to the finish line, and how do we get to happen what we want to happen and leave your family in the best situation possible. That's ultimately the goal. We're not trying to make it complicated. We're trying to simplify things before things get to that point.
And this is one of those things in your life, folks, that you need a partner. It's been a reoccurring theme throughout this entire show. But if you're looking for a partner to help you make sure that your family wealth is stable, and when I say family wealth, it just means, your family finances, what you've worked so hard all of your life to make sure that it's stable and that it is passed on to your loved ones or to wherever you'd like for it to go in the manner in which which you had hoped. If you're looking for someone to help you do just that, it's 612-504-8400. Again, that's 612-504-8400. That is the number to reach the folks at Haven Financial Group. Tell them you heard us here on the radio and you'd like to sit down and have a first discussion about whether it is, passing on generational wealth, if it's saving for college, or it's putting together a great portfolio that's going to give you the golden years that you're looking for. Again, one more time, 612-504-8400. We've had a lot of information in a short period of time, Larry.
A lot of information. Kyle, thanks for being with us. And Kim, we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.